Yo, what's good YouTube? It's your boy Elijah here, man. And as you can tell from the title of the video, today we're going to be talking about the different eras of the NBA. So without further ado anyway, I'm not even going to beat around the bush. Let's get straight to it. So we're first going to talk about the early years of the NBA. The NBA began as the Basketball Association of America, BAA, before merging with the National Basketball League, NBL, in 1949 to form the NBA. The early years were defined by low-scoring games, modest fans, and very, very basic games. The games were a snooze fest. On November 1st, 1946, the first BAA game was played between the New York Knicks and the Toronto Huskies, and the Knicks won 68-66. Back then, they didn't even have a shot clock, so games were very slow-paced, and it led to low-scoring games. In the NBA's official inaugural season, which at the time was known as the BAA, the league's highest-paid player was Tom King of the Detroit Falcons. King's salary was $16,500 according to the history of NBA labor. Just to let you guys know, $16,500 is equivalent to $2,072,000 today, which is actually insane because today you literally have to sell your organs in order to buy a house. During this time period as well, the annual house income was $2,600. A house cost $5,500. A new car was about $1,125, and a gallon of gas was 21 cents. The style of play in the late 1940s and early 1950s was very different from today. During this time, there was no three-point line. All shots counted for 2 points, no matter the distance. Smaller. The Irish player was around 6'3", which is 86 kg for my English viewers. One player stood out above the others, and his name was George Michael. He was a 6'10" center, and he played for the Minneapolis Lakers superstar. He was the NBA's first real superstar, dominating with his size and skill. From 1949 to 1954, he led the Lakers to 5 championships. Michael was so dominant that he even forced rule changes. The lane was widened in 1951 from 6 feet to 12 feet. Michael became the face of the league and helped legitimize pro basketball. A historic milestone happened in 1950 when the NBA integrated racially. Earl Lloyd becoming the first African American to play in an NBA game, Chuck Cooper becoming the first black player drafted, and Nat Clifton becoming the first black player to sign an NBA contract. And perhaps the most important innovation of this era with the introduction of the 24-second shot clock. And this change laid the groundwork for the modern style of play. Now let's move on to the Bill Russell era, which was from 1957 to 1969. He won 11 championships in 13 seasons. This era was not just about winning, it was about revolutionizing the game through defense, leadership, and team-first basketball. Drafted by the Celtics in 1956 and debuting in 1957, Bill Russell immediately changed the game. Bill Russell's defense was so good that they built their defense around him. Even at Bill Russell's size, he was one of the fastest players on the court. Bill Russell averaged 22 rebounds per game over his career, with some even exceeding 24. The East versus West rivalry began in this era, with Boston consistently defeating the Lakers in the finals. With Boston winning the finals 1959, 1962, 1963, 1965, 1966, 1968, and 1969, which is actually insane, bro. But during this era as well, Wilt Chamberlain became the first player to receive $100,000 in the 1965-66 season. And by the way, guys, that's equivalent to $1 million today. From 1965 to 1967, we have the league's first golden age, which were Russell, Wilt, West, Oscar, and Baylor. And so from 1970 to 1979, that's when we're entering the post-Russell era. Bill Russell had retired in 1969, and the NBA was entering a new chapter. The Celtics dynasty had faded, and the league started to become more wide open. A new rise of stars began to emerge like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Dr. J, and Walt Frazier. Basketball became more flashy. The NBA now had the Indiana Pacers, the Denver Nuggets, the San Antonio Spurs, and the New York Nets, now called the Brooklyn Nets. The 1970s featured the diverse styles depending on the team, with teams like the Denver Nuggets and big men like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar dominated the paint with finesse rather than brute force with his skyhook, which was unstoppable. However, the NBA had a big image problem. Cocaine use among players became a growing problem as well, damaging the league's image. And the NBA was seen as too black, which is crazy. The decade closed, however, with two major events that set the stage for the NBA's rebirth. In 1979, Magic and Bird entered the league. The college rivalry was legendary, and the contrast in styles and charisma would define the 1980s. Also, one thing that I forgot to mention as well, which is probably one of the most important things as well, the three-point line was introduced during the 1970 NBA season. The legendary 1979 NCAA championship matchup drew 35 million viewers. And this is still the most watched college basketball game ever. Under the head coach, Pat Riley, the Lakers built the Showtime dynasty. Fast break offense, highlight reel passing, and transition scoring were all on display. And it was centered around Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James Worthy, and Brian Scott. Magic was able to win 3 MVP titles in 1987, 1989, and 1990. The Celtics had a tough, physical team under coaches Bill Fitch and Casey Jones. The games at the Boston Garden were known for the intensity and passionate fans. The Celtics were able to win 3 championships during this time. Bird was able to win 3 MVPs in a row. And this era marked the beginning of the NBA being a global product. When David Stern became commissioner in 1984, he came with a marketing-first vision. Games became must-watch TV. The NBA invested in its image, merchandise, and player promotion. And with Bird and Magic being seen in TV ads, sneaker campaigns, and public appearances. And for the first time, NBA players became celebrities and not just athletes. In 1989, a new star began to arise. Even though he had already become an all-star, it wasn't until the Magic and Bird rivalry cooled down that Jordan would dominate the league. By 1990, Michael Jordan had established himself as the NBA's most electrifying talent. In 1985, he won Rookie of the Year. He had multiple scoring titles, and he always came clutch when his team needed him. But LeBron is still better. But Michael Jordan still had a reputation of just being a scorer who couldn't win championships. The bad boy Pistons had eliminated the Bulls in 3 straight seasons, using brutal physical tactics to contain him. However, everything changed in 1991. Under head coach Phil Jackson, and with the implementation of the triangle offense, and Jordan was able to lead them to 6 championships. But Jordan startled everyone when he decided to quit basketball in October, following his father's murder, and followed his other dream of playing baseball. When Jordan stepped away in 1993, Hakeem Olajuwon and the Houston Rockets seized the moment, winning back-to-back championships in 1994 and 1995. During this time as well, Carmelo and John Stockton formed one of the most greatest duos in NBA history. But obviously, we're not going to go into Carmelo's past because he's on that Epstein type timing. Jordan helped the NBA expand internationally, drawing in fans from Europe, Asia, and Latin America. And to me, I think you can consider Jordan being the John Cena or the Stone Cold of the NBA. Because of Jordan, he took the NBA to new heights. When you first think of a WWE wrestler, the first person that you probably think of is John Cena. Same with the NBA. When you think of NBA, the first person you think of is Jordan. Then maybe like Kobe, then LeBron. You get what I'm trying to say? But Jordan really is the MVP of this shit. Even though LeBron the GOAT, we gotta give Jordan his flowers. When Michael Jordan retired for the second time in 1998, the NBA was left without its biggest icon. This created an identity gap as the league now had to move forward without its most marketable star. And there was a decline in ratings, with the 1999 NBA Finals seeing a steep drop in viewership. The post-Jordan era began with tension. In 1998 to 1999, the NBA experienced a lockout due to labor disputes between owners and player unions, and the season was shortened to 50 games. Players were out of shape and the overall product suffered. One of the defining achievements of this era was the NBA's rapid expansion on a global scale, the NBA saw a major influx of foreign talent, with players like Dirk Nowitzki, Paul Gasol, Yao Ming, and Tony Parker making a name for themselves. During this time as well, the NBA started to have a little bit more swagger. Allen Iverson helped popularize tattoos, cornrows, and streetwear, making it a mainstream part of basketball culture. During the 2010s, LeBron emerged as a dominant figure. LeBron first joined the NBA as a teenager. He was referred to as the chosen one. He had impossible expectations, but somehow he surpassed them all. Before LeBron, the Cavaliers were irrelevant. They had no playoff appearances since 1998, but by his third season, LeBron had led them to 50 wins. He turned the Cavaliers into a consistent playoff team, a national TV draw, and a team the fans believed in again. However, on July 8th, 2010, LeBron announced on national television that he would be taking his talents to South Beach. Elite basketball and drama were on display throughout LeBron's time with the Heat, with 4 consecutive finals appearances, 2 NBA championships, and back-to-back MVPs for LeBron. In 2014, LeBron would shock the world again when he returned back to Cleveland. In 2016, he delivered on his promise, bringing a title to Cleveland, the city's first major sports championship in 52 years. The Cavs would come back from a 3-1 deficit with LeBron having a triple-double in Game 7, and this is often called the greatest comeback in NBA history. The league now embraced fashion, music, and activism, and with the introduction of social media, it allowed players to directly speak to fans, attracting a younger and more engaged audience. Cool, so now let's talk about the modern era. The 3-point line was introduced in 1979, but it wasn't until the 2010s that teams started relying on it as a primary part of their offense. In the 2000-2001 season, teams averaged 13.7 3-point attempts per game. By 2023-2024, the number more than tripled, with teams averaging over 35 to 40 attempts per game. And Curry is widely credited as the face of the 3-point revolution. The defining trait of this era is the absence of dominant dynasties. The league has now shifted to a competitive balance with multiple teams winning championships in a short span. Milwaukee winning it in 2021, Golden State winning it in 2022, Denver winning it in 2023, Boston winning it in 2024, and in 2025, OKC. And new stars and franchises continue to arise. Almost every playoff team enters the season with a real chance to compete. This era might also be the most internationally diverse in NBA history, with some of the league's biggest stars being non-American players. With Giannis being a 2-time MVP, Jokic being a 2-time MVP, Embiid being the most skilled big man in the league's history, and Wemby being the most high prospect since LeBron. Players today as well are more than athletes. They're brands and businessmen. Many players are now launching podcasts, companies, and clothing lines. And this is a time where basketball is more dynamic, more diverse, more than ever. And I think the future is looking bright. Anyway, guys, if you made it to the end of this video, I want to say thank you so much. I know it was quite a long video, but thank you for watching it regardless. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe here. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.